Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy winter. Got my elf sweater on because I can. So solstice is next week. So it's next Wednesday. So I want to offer some resources today for you for how you and your family, your folks might observe this season's change. I'm actually preparing to leave for our solstice retreat, the Nourish Retreat, which is today, that I'm very excited to, and actually happen to have 2 last minute cancellations. So if you happen to see this and uh, if you see this before 1 o'clock when I'm leaving, message me and to find out if it will work for you to come. But otherwise, if you are not coming and celebrating with us this weekend, I do have a few ways that you can still observe the seasons change in your own way and in your own family and context. So my hope is that it's just a chance to slow down and connect to the season. That can happen so many different ways. So these are just prompts and ideas to start with. And I'll also be upfront that today I have an offer to share as well, because we're coming up on the kind of shift of the end of current offerings and preparing for the new year. So I like to just say that up front. This is my livelihood, and I sell stuff for it. And if that's something you're interested in, and you find what I share useful, and you want more of it, I will share with you the ways that you can work more closely with me in the coming year. So yeah, if you're into that, watch all the way through. And I'll be sharing how you can join me and my crew for solstice this year and in the coming year if you want to do that. So, many of our modern holidays, there's a lot of back and forth throughout this, but I still kind of feel pretty settled in that many of our modern holidays have earth-based roots. And solstice is one of those days that cultures around the world have recognized as significant, a moment to dwell in the beauty and paradox of light and darkness. And for folks in the northern hemisphere where I am, winter solstice can be a really sweet time, even amongst sort of the chaos of how, as dominant culture, we tend to live in this time. It can be an invitation to receive the blessings of darkness, that deep rest, that incubation of the dream world, and the freedom or exploration around death and dying, endings, completion, composting, the underworld. And I've shared in other spaces, particularly in the Holy Darkness series that's currently happening, that solstice can be a time for amending or addressing some of the light bias, right? The aversion to darkness and to death and the underworld that is still pretty prevalent in a lot of dominant spiritual and religious language and practice. So similar to Samhain, which was October 31st, solstice can be a time to support ourselves as well as our little people, our families, in appreciating and practicing resiliency in the face of darkness and the dark season, which I can tell. I mean, I know I need practice with that even still. But we need darkness, right? Like seeds germinate in darkness of the soil. Babies incubate in the darkness of the womb. Sometimes doing nothing is the just right thing to do. There's so much that goes on in the unseen world, and death is a part of life. So we need seasons that remind us of this. So I'll offer a little structure, or kind of sample structure that I've used in my community. And yeah, feel free to just pick and choose or adapt to your particular context. And really, I just really want to underscore, like, don't make this one more thing to do, right? Like, let the simplest version of this show itself to you, kind of in a very gentle, quiet way. It doesn't have to be one more sort of overstimulated, check off the box list item. So maybe it's just a kind of witnessing or observation in the amongst the day-to-day things of the light changing. That might be enough. If it's a little more formal or a little more of a process practice like this, that's great too, but it doesn't have to be fancy. So I call this little ritual Honoring Darkness, Rebirth of the Light. And I'll post the details of this too, so you don't have to write them down necessarily. You can follow along. But I will often have collected things over the seasons that I'll use at different ritual intervals. So a couple of elemental things you might have are like some flower petals, a bag or a dish of flower petals, a bag or a dish of herbs like sage or thyme or whatever you have in your kitchen, and then a little dish or a little bag of seeds. Again, kitchen seeds can work, like fennel or poppy seeds or bird seeds, anything you have on hand. And then especially if there's kiddos, I like to use some kind of sound instrument for kind of our opening and closing. So a bell or a drum. And if you have the space and inspiration to create an altar of some kind, it can be, a simple cloth with a candle, maybe some flowers, or not even, I guess at this time of year, probably not flowers, but greenery of the season. We have some holly growing in our yard. I might put on it rosemary, pine cones, any kind of tokens of the season, as well as this where you can explore a little bit with your family, like what are some tokens of the past year that you want to remember or have gratitude for, and what are a couple of physical tokens that might represent dreams or intentions of the coming year. So first, if I'm with a group, or even if I'm doing this by myself or just with my partner, we'll do some kind of tuning in. So this is where I'll ring the bell. And if there's kiddos, usually I'll say, let's listen for the bell, and listen until you can't hear it anymore. When you can't hear it anymore, just pop your hand up. So and then usually I'll let one of them ring the bell, right? And they get really attentive so they can hear it all the way to the end. We might do that 1 or 3 times. Or I'll often add, like, when we ring the bell, that's the cue to take 1 or 3 big belly breaths in and out, right? So you can engage kiddos at those sort of transition and elemental points. And if there's younger kids, sometimes I'll do like, let's stand like we're a tree. Or if there's a little older kids, you can have them imagine that they're their favorite tree. So they might have the patience to close their eyes for a moment, breathe, imagine that they're a tree with roots dropping deep into the center of the earth. I'll do this with adults. That's one of our primary practices. Set your grounding. Or a grounding with kiddos could also be like, name one thing that you see with your eyes, with your eagle eyes. One thing that you hear with your fox ears. One thing that you smell with your, piggy nose. So going through the 5 senses and just letting them identify one thing they notice. So that's typically the second part. First part, tuning in. Second part, grounding. Third part, a blessing or acknowledgement of the land. So I'll try to say thank you to the land where we are. Thank you to the ancestral stewards where we are. And it might look like making an offering of some kind, sprinkling some of our seeds, or lighting the candle in honor of the land and the ancestral stewards of the land. If you were listening last week, So the fourth element I offer is song. And so last week's video you could check out if you want a couple of songs. I mean, a Christmas carol works. I love Christmas carols. There's a sort of blessing, a couple of like blessing songs that I shared in last week's video, and I can repost that as well below. And then by way of a very simple ritual, you might gather around a tree, or if you're outside, if you can go outside, or if you're able to build a fire for solstice, that's very representative. That can be a fun thing to gather around. If you're inside, it might just be like you might have a little altar on your table, or again, like just a bowl of the elements and a candle, and you can do the following ritual, where with the rose petals or the flower petals, each person takes a turn to offer these to the land while sharing gratitudes from the past year. And then each person takes some sage or herbs, offering those to the land and sharing any griefs or sadnesses or loss or disappointments of the last year. And then using the seeds to sprinkle on the ground with the offering and the naming of any dreams that you have, any dreams that you're incubating right now for the coming year. And I have this simple prayer. Actually, I haven't wrote a tune to it yet, but that could happen. You could write a tune and let me know what it is. But a simple prayer that you can speak after each person shares, or after everybody shares, you kind of feel it out. Our thanks for days past, our dreams birthed at night. We honor the darkness, we beckon the light. Our thanks for days past, our dreams birthed at night. We honor the darkness, we beckon the light. And then you might close with a song, or by ringing the bell or the drum one more time, taking a few belly breaths, saying thank you to any of the other elemental forces that are there that you can see, that, you can have the kids name, like, who else is here with us? This tree friend, the dirt friend, any animal friends that are nearby, the sky, the sun, the darkness, the clouds. Just kind of naming that wider web and helping kids to start to imagine that wider web that we're a part of. And then, I like to follow up with a tasty warm drink, if you're sitting around the fire, especially, or if you're inside. And just allowing it to be, lighthearted. So rituals don't have to be solemn and serious. And following up with something tasty is a nice way to do that. All right, so that's my little outline for a simple solstice ritual for families. I would love, love, love to hear if you use this, or if you use a variation of this that makes more sense for where you are. Please share. I'd love to hear how it goes. If you want to take a picture, a little video of your family doing this, please share it with me. You can post it below, or send it to me, or tag me in your post, or whatever. Really love to see how folks are using and adapting and doing things in their own way. So if this feels useful to you, and if you want more like this over the coming year, if you're really longing for that sense of connection to the earth, to your own inner wisdom, to your own spirit, to the wider forces of our beautiful and complex world, longing for more depth and ritual, but not really interested in church anymore. If you're wanting to feel more at home in your body and in your relationships and on the earth, while being in service in your unique place in the world, maybe you feel disconnected from healthy ancestry, or isolated from nourishing community, or just managing that like baseline of overwhelm with all that's going on in the world. It's for folks like you that I am really inspired to work with and provide resources for. Um, and even if you're not like personally struggling, if you're feeling personally well resourced, but you just want more, you want to deepen your sense of belonging, you want to deepen and enjoy culturally rich and culturally respectful seasonal celebrations. Um, you want to be of service and rooted in place while sharing your gifts, and being in reciprocity with other humans and more than human beings. This is for you. It might be for you. You may have heard me share about roots and rhythms, and this is a slightly adjusted version. We did kind of a 6-month experimental version over the last season, and the new season starts in February. So what you'll get in Roots and Rhythms is light-hearted, earth-based seasonal rhythms and celebrations of collective joy and lament. So we do both quarterly seasonal rituals as well as twice a year grief rituals. You'll get mentorship and mentorship with me as well as your peers, and opportunities for resource sharing with each other and with our wider ecology. So wherever you are, it is locally rooted and land-based. So there are several in-person options, as well as ways to engage in a hybrid virtual format. So if you are not local to me, you can also join. If you are local to me, we'll have monthly local in-person indoor and outdoor gatherings to mark, have some consistent rhythm together and also mark the seasons change. And you'll also get body and land-based skill building through a monthly, I'm calling it somatic resilience and land listening practice, intended to build those both group and personal skills of good enough relating to ourselves, our bodies, the earth, and our beautiful complex world. So practically what this will look like is twice a month circles from February to July. We will gather the first Thursday of the month virtually for our somatic resilience land listening practice. And then the third, it's the third Saturday of the month. I mistyped that. The third Saturday of the month, which will alternate between song circle, the seasonal, the quarter day seasonal rhythms, and grief ritual. So I'm going to post the link with all of the information below. And if you join before, I guess, Tuesday, you can join us for our solstice ritual on Wednesday, which is at 4 p.m. PST. So that's my offer. I would really love to have you join. If these are resources that are useful for you, if you want more skills of resilience, connection, joy, community building, contextualized on the land where you are, while sort of taking advantage of the virtual world that helps us to connect over across distance. So yeah, I would love to have any of you join. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I'll be offline for the weekend, but back in touch, I guess like Monday evening. And yeah, I'd love to talk with you more about it. All right. Happy preparations and see you later. Happy solstice season.